There is perhaps no song in the world that is more identifiable with Kentucky than My Old Kentucky Home. It's the state song, and it's been sung before the Kentucky Derby every year since 1930. Author and historian Emily Bingham's new book, My Old Kentucky Home, examines the song's long, sordid history, its controversies, and the crossroads that we currently find ourselves in. Emily Bingham, welcome to Great Day Live. Thank you so much for talking to us about the book.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you.
You're a lifelong Louisvillian, lifelong Kentuckian. Why was it important for you to step into this history and tell this story? Because I mentioned I saw a post from you several years ago on Facebook, and I thought I was very struck by it. And it was you questioning, why are we singing this song? And it was the first time I think I really heard somebody question it out loud.
Right. Well, what I learned when I looked at those lyrics, and I really hope that anybody looking at this issue will take just a couple of minutes to read them themselves and absorb them. But I learned that this is a song about slavery. Not only about slavery, but about the worst aspects of that, the horrendous, heinous, generations of selling human beings. And in this case, a human being sold from his family in Kentucky for cash down to the sugarcane fields of Louisiana, probably, where he will die. And that is one of the most sad and pain-filled elements of our past. And I just had to ask, how did we come to be singing that song? And many of us, including me, emoting on that song in a celebratory and just, beautifully staged tradition every single year.
And the words have changed, though, over the years, and so we're apart from it, so we just tend to forget.
Right. I mean, I think the words were changed in response to some protests over generations, but the protests weren't really just about those words. They were about a song about slavery and how the settings in which it was performed and enshrined, really. And I think, one of the things that's been so novel for me has been to have people come to me as they learned that I was working on the project, including a friend who was part of the sit-ins on 4th Street here in Louisville, so that people who looked like her could eat or buy clothes at shops, say to me, Emily, now you know what it is. Why do people love this song so much when it has been hurting me all my life? And we don't know. I didn't know.
A lot of people are going to be singing it because the Kentucky Derby, now, just days away. And it's always important to talk about that role in the song's prominence. I wanted to read to you what Churchill Downs had to say, right, because they're weighing in on this, and about specifically its continued use. Churchill Downs gives careful consideration to our traditions each year and has engaged in meaningful conversations surrounding this one in particular. My Old Kentucky Home is the state song of Kentucky. It is well documented by historians that the lyrics were influenced by Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, and we look to the words of famed abolitionist Frederick Douglass in his autobiography, My Bondage, My Freedom, for the most accurate assessment of its meaning as an anti-slavery ballad. It has been performed before the Kentucky Derby for over 100 years. It is not a celebratory anthem, but a solemn and thoughtful moment of self-reflection and introspection. There is room to recognize and respect what the song means to each person individually.
I'm so glad to hear them, and I think it's great for everybody to weigh in on how they see it. I believe that it's extremely debatable whether this is an anti-slavery song. I personally, in my research, look at that very closely, so there's a lot in the book on that. But I guess I would just say the song describes a person longing to be back in Kentucky in a place of enslavement, which was a place of enslavement for that figure in the song. And no anti-slavery movement ever would have embraced such a notion. There were other abolitionists who took the tune of Foster's song and wrote entirely new lyrics because they were not helpful as they were written. So this is an extremely complex story, which I could no way try to explain in just a few minutes on television. But I believe that that's what makes our history deep and interesting, is its complexity. It isn't a simple black and white issue, to use an overused phrase. But it is tangled with race and pain, and I think the privilege of enjoying something that has been painful and complicated for others.
You shared some rather personal, painful part of your family history in the book, and you were very honest about talking about your family through history as this topic came up. Going to grad school and seeing a family member's name on the building and then learning more about him. And I'm curious, why was it important to you to include that history in?
Yeah, I felt like I have sung this song, I have wept over this song myself for more than half my life before looking more deeply into it. And so I felt like if anyone was going to question this, what I want to be clear, question something that is so precious to so many people and has brought so much pleasure and joy and feeling to so many people. If I were going to go into that, I need to be very honest about how deeply it's rooted in me and the roots that I bring to any story. So I go back all the way to my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather. The great-great-grandfather being someone who is honored at the school that I happened to go get my doctorate in history at. I had no idea that his personal political journey included a long stop as a night rider for the KKK. Right. So this is something that I just want to feel like we can talk about. We should be able to talk about. Not everyone knows their history the way I'm privileged to have that chance to find these things out. But if we know, we can be more honest, and that's on us to move forward in the present, but be honest about the past.
Where do we go from here, you think? You know, what ideally would you like to happen to this song, or what do we do personally? Is that where it begins, kind of as a personal step that we all take?
I would like us to stay in this moment for a bit and think about, I hope that the book really starts the conversation for people. And it is personal, but I think it's also about the conversation. It's about talking about it to each other. And this is something that when it comes to race, we tend to avoid. We just tend to like to sweep it under the rugs. And this has not proved to be a great strategy for a unified community. I think that we can have more conversation. I personally would like to see the future of the song in the hands of the people it was supposed to be about, instead of the people who have actually created, controlled, and produced this song in so many settings, whether it's tourist attractions or legislatures or, plays touring Japan, as it turns out. So I would like it to be in the hands of Black citizens who are descended from slaves.
Emily Bingham, historian and author of My Old Kentucky Home. Thank you so much. Emily Bingham's book is out today. Head over to emilybingham.net to order the book and see a full list of book signing and discussions across the state. As a reminder to you, Good Morning Kentuckiana's Eric King will be moderating one of her events in Bardstown on June the 8th at the Riot Bookseller.